Welcome to Turning Back the Pages, the podcast where children's book authors discuss their favorite childhood books. I'm your host, Allie. Today, author Charlotte Cheng is joining me to discuss her favorite childhood book, Harold and the Purple Crayon by Crockett Johnson. Charlotte Cheng has written and illustrated a variety of books, including Night Market Rescue, Roar-Choo, I Miss You Most, which is coming fall 2024, BoBo Loves Dumplings, and BoBo's Colorful Chinese New Year. With over 20 years of EdTech experience, Charlotte has also written and published K-12 curriculum for a variety of companies including Code Combat, Disney, and Wonder Workshop. You can learn more about Charlotte's work at www.charlotte.art. Welcome, Charlotte.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad you are here. So I have challenged Charlotte and myself to recap the book in 30 seconds since we're doing a picture book today. So Charlotte, would you like to get us started with that?
Oh boy, yes, it is a challenge, but I can start with the premise. Harold and the Purple Crayon is about a young kid named Harold who has a purple crayon and discovers that he can use the purple crayon to draw his own world, whether that's drawing a boat to sail across an ocean, to discover an island, to have friends to share a picnic with. And I love the journey because at the very end, Harold does draw his way to find his way back home. So it's a very satisfying ending. And it's a very simple design of the book because all you really see is Harold with a simple black and white line drawing, light blue for his clothing, and then his purple crayon. So not a lot of color, but it's amazing how much Crockett Johnson was able to infuse the story with so much magic and imagination.
Perfect. Yay, you did it. There might have been accidentally a second more in there because I told you to start and I forgot to push the button. So we will count it as 30 seconds though. Okay, here's my turn. On your mark, get set, go. So Harold is a little boy who has a magic purple crayon, or I assume it's magic, and he goes on adventures with it. He's drawing himself his own little world, and in this imaginary world, he does get into a little bit of trouble, but thankfully he is able to keep his wits and draw himself safely home. Okay, I actually had a few seconds left there, so all right, we did it.
Yay! Yeah, it's relatively easier with picture books, I'm thinking.
Yes. I know I was going to give everyone 1 minute, but then I was like, that's a long time for a picture book. Charlotte, if you are up for it, I have a little bit of a quiz about the book. So I will quiz you along the way if you're up for it.
Okay, I haven't done it's just one of my favorite books, but I haven't done a lot of research, but I'm up for the challenge.
That is totally fine. It is just, some of the stuff was very interesting to me. Harold and the Purple Crayon is a 1955 children's book written and illustrated by Crockett Johnson. So Charlotte, is Crockett Johnson his birth name?
I'm thinking no.
It is not. It is David Johnson Laske. His childhood nickname was Crockett, and Laske was too hard for people to pronounce. So Johnson had two famous characters, Harold, and do you know his other famous character?
Oh, I used to know this, but I forgot.
I'll give you. It's Barnaby.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So both are bald characters, and Johnson is quoted as saying, "I draw people without hair because it's so much easier. Besides, to me, people with hair look funny."
Well, what an interesting reason for not.
I think he himself was bald too, so that does make it a little bit of a self-portrait.
Yeah, I think I heard this similar thing with hands. That especially for me, I try not to draw hands unless I absolutely have to because it is quite hard to get them right. So I understand the feeling.
Yes, my 6-year-old daughter is realizing that it is very impossible to draw hands. Johnson described his style of illustration as simplified, almost diagrammatic, for clear storytelling, avoiding all arbitrary decoration. Harold and the Purple Crayon was followed by, do you know how many more Harold stories?
Oh, no. I remember a few, so I'm going to guess at least Three more.
Okay, there were six more.
Oh, okay.
So
You
seven
know
and
what?
12.
I was gonna say five. I was like, no, there's no way. But wow, six more. Wow.
So Johnson married Ruth Cross. He also illustrated one of her books, The Carrot Seed. Harold and the Purple Crayon remains one of today's top books with librarians and children's art educators alike. One popular, more modern book series named a character after Harold. Do you know which series or which character? This one made me laugh.
Oh my
This
gosh.
is your last one, by the way.
Okay. It can't be Harry Potter, is it?
No, it's not Harry Potter. It is actually one of the protagonists in Captain Underpants. His name is Harold Hutchins.
Oh my gosh, I love that series too.
Yeah,
My
isn't that so
daughter
fun?
loves I'll have to share that with my daughter because we read that book all the time. So wow, I didn't know that was the inspiration.
Yes, apparently the author of Captain Underpants, whose name is escaping me at the moment, loved Harold, and also Prince, as in the musician, is reported to have loved the color purple because his favorite childhood book was Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Oh my gosh, I'm learning so much about my favorite books.
I was
All
like,
good backs.
this is a beloved book. So Charlotte, why is this book so beloved?
For me, it was just it. I just remember. So the first time I read it, actually, funnily enough, was via Reading Rainbow.
Oh, I love
So
that.
Reading Rainbow animated it.
Oh, I love
And
that.
I remember seeing the animation, and it just unlocked this sense of creativity and possibility in me.
Hmm.
And I think I love the message that as a kid you feel sometimes not very empowered, right? You're
Hmm.
limited by a lot of things, by grown adults, or you're still growing, you're still learning. But this book makes you feel like it's limitless. Like
Hmm.
you can create your own world and your own stories just with the power of a single pencil, or a crayon in the sense, right?
Hmm.
And so that's what really appealed to me as a kid. And I had crayons, right? So it
Uh-huh.
was very
Yeah.
approachable to be able to say, well, if he can do it with his purple crayon, well, I wonder what I can do with my crayons. And so I thought that was just such a powerful message. And then we often went to the library, so of course I hunted the book out, and really enjoyed it that way too. So yeah, that was how I discovered the book and why I love it so much.
Yeah, I found it really interesting that you, as an author illustrator, enjoyed a book about creating a new reality, and then Crockett Johnson is also an author illustrator. So you talked about it a little bit, but do you want to dive more into, did this book inspire you in any way as a child or later on as you started to create your own worlds and drawing and writing?
Yeah, I think it's been a thread through my life, where it's the power of a single crayon, what
Hmm.
it can do, really has driven my storytelling and my creation.
Hmm.
I just remember my parents complaining that I drew on every surface in the house. It was and maybe that was a backfire of the story. So I drew on the walls, I drew on the doors inside closets, I drew under the tables, um, and everywhere. And to me, I think the book gave me permission to do so. And even to this day, I have designed and painted little free libraries. I've painted rocks.
Oh,
I've
I
done
love that.
murals, and just making you think, hey, think beyond that piece of paper,
Hmm.
into what it could be. And I think that also like sort of lends into this idea of being an author illustrator or being someone who makes picture books, because it pushes you to think beyond the page. That you realize, oh, this isn't just 32 pages in a book.
Hmm.
These 32 pages can contain an entire world, an
Hmm.
entire journey. And so I think that made me fall in love with the way you could do that in the pages of a book. And I don't think I've ever let that go. To this day, if you go to my website, charlotte.art, and you see my profile, it's of me holding a big red pencil in front of my face.
Hmm.
My mouth would be. And it's because I'm trying to show that, through the power of my pencil, I'm able to tell my stories,
Hmm.
uh, share my thoughts and feelings and ideas. And I want to spread that message and that idea to more kids into our next generation as well.
I love that. Especially as a mom of a 6-year-old who literally creates all the time. Her favorite thing right now is taking pipe cleaners, like the craft pipe cleaners, and making creations. And she tells stories with them. And that is what we are going to be doing after I get off this podcast, is making a book of pictures of her, of a story that she's written, and she's illustrated it with pipe cleaners. So,
That's so cool. Yeah, I just helped my daughter, who's 5, publish her first book,
I love
quote
that.
unquote. And it was something we worked on together where it started with she was the author and I was the illustrator for part of it. And then I became the author and she was the illustrator.
I
And
love it.
so then we like printed it out and stapled them together and made, I think, 20-ish copies
Hmm.
that she then signed and handed out at one of my book events. Um,
Oh,
so I think there's just something very instinctual to a child wanting to tell stories and create stories.
yeah.
And it's up to us to sort of give them the tools to tell that story in whatever way they want to, right? Whether it's pipe cleaners with your kiddo or whether it's with my kiddo, who just like, she also draws on all the walls in her room. That's sort of confined it to say you can draw on anything in your room. And boy, has she done that. She's done it on her dresser drawers and on the walls and all over the place. But, I like giving kids that freedom because I think they need it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a little creator in all of us. It's just an innate thing. So, how has reading Harold changed through the years? I'm assuming you've read it to your daughter.
It's changed through the years because I think I appreciate the craft more.
Hmm.
So every page, for me, when I'm reading to her, she's just following along with the story, right? Most of the time. But for me, every time I read it, I notice something new in the decisions he made on each spread, like
Hmm.
where he places Harold, right?
Hmm.
Where he places, he draw, like Harold draws the ocean and then draws the boat. The very ending, there's this beautiful idea of like drawing a window around a moon, and that immediately changes where you are.
Mm.
And so just little details like that every time I read the book. I just notice more details, and it's so interesting that he said, "Hey, I wanted to remove any distraction," right?
Hmm.
Uh, and to me, it reminds me of how I also write. When you write a picture book, to me, it's like writing poetry,
Right.
and that you're trying to remove any unnecessary details so that it really is like an idea really distilled into its core pieces. So a kid can sort of identify with it and connect with it. So that's how it's changed. Just me being able to appreciate it at a level of craft, right? Not just the
Right.
story itself.
Right. I really love that. And, I think there's a temptation to look at a book like this and think, oh, it's just a simple drawing, but I'm going to forget who said it. But I was reading in one of my writing books recently. Someone said, "I'm sorry I wrote you a long letter. I didn't have time to write a short one." And just being so careful with words and also here with illustrations to really make sure that what is on the page stands out and has a purpose.
Yes, yeah, and for me, both in my writing and my art, when I was like becoming more serious, that was my hardest thing. It was editing yourself, right? So I remember just in art class, my art teacher's like, "Charlotte, you don't need to use every single color in the rainbow for your drawing." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Right? And learning, like, I ended up working at a letterpress studio for a while where every color was so painful to add to a design.
Uh-huh.
It forced me to really think about, okay, what can I get away with just 2 colors?
Mm-hmm.
Or what can I get away with just one color? And it
Mm-hmm.
really forced me to focus, like you said, on the details that matter. And then my 8th grade teacher, I just remember, is like, "Charlotte, you're a great writer." I still talk to him. "You're a great writer." It's like, there's beauty in brevity, I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
And it really threw me for a loop. It took me a while to really think about, if you write too much, then the parts that matter can get lost in
Right.
it. And so yeah, I agree. Like I love that quote that you said about the short letter.
Yes.
Need more time.
Yes. Yes. So were you an avid reader as a child?
Oh yes,
Okay.
absolutely. It was. I still remember going to the library with my mom. I was in Monterey Park down in LA,
Mm-hmm.
and funnily enough, I'm visiting libraries in LA later this year,
Oh,
so
that's
it's a
fun.
full circle moment for me. And I still remember, I'm like learning about the cap on how many books you could check out,
Yes.
and it was 12, and I just would have to like make a giant pile, and then I had to sit there and really decide which 12 I could take home,
Wow.
because it was so hard for me to think that of like only having 12. And then as I got older, yeah, I grew up in libraries. Like
Mm-hmm.
I often went to the library. I had lunch in the library oftentimes in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point, I think I almost read every book in one of the school libraries where I just ran out. And so my mom then would often take me to our local bookstore, Barnes and Noble, and she could just leave me there for hours. And I would just be in that bookstore reading books, trying to decide which book. I would painfully go through books to decide what my next book would be.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just something that's always been with me. Our house now, like every room has books, every
Yes.
room, and it's a pile of books here that to be read, or a pile of books next to my daughter's bed or my bed. Like it's just we live and breathe books, and
Yes.
so yeah, it's just something that's always been with me.
Yes. Yes. I similarly have piles of books. We're building a bookshelf in our bedroom right now, and all my books are in boxes, and
Oh,
the boxes are taking up half the room right now. Yeah.
well, and it's dangerous because now I have books signed by authors and illustrators,
Mm-hmm.
and so those go on Mama's special shelf book, is what I
Yes.
call it. And so
Yes.
Ivy's not allowed to, my daughter's not allowed to read those books on her own. Like I have to be holding the book because you have
Yes.
to be gentle with them. So it's just bad. It's like there's different categories of books now, like book collections.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I just love it.
Yeah. I love that. It's one of the things that I should probably be more specific with a budget, but with anything with my kids, I'm just like, if they want a book, I'm like, yes, let's get it. And we are in
Yeah,
the
that's so
library all
funny.
the time.
Yeah, my mom was that was my loophole. Like if it's a book, she's like, I will buy it.
Yeah.
Like,
And
don't worry
both
about
both of my kids love to read. So only them really one is really reading, but the other one they both study books like and every morning when they wake up, and I just absolutely love that. Today's episode is sponsored by just kidding. Turning Back the Pages doesn't have sponsors yet. But hey, while I have your attention, if you're enjoying this episode or you enjoy children's books and want to hear more, would you hit that subscribe button? Go ahead, I'll wait. Bad music just has a few more seconds. Great job! And hey, thanks. So it sounds like little Charlotte would not be surprised that you're an illustrator. Would she be surprised that you had written books? Like, was that the plan as you were reading, or was that kind of a surprise to you?
I don't think she'd be surprised at
Mm-hmm.
all. So I just discovered we are going through the closet. I discovered the like a draft of a story I had been writing since fifth grade.
Uh-huh.
It's so dramatic. It's called A Rose of Darkness. And it has like a full page dedication page. I was serious. Like
Wow, a
I
dedication page.
yeah, I wrote out a synopsis. I designed the book cover. So it's just been something that I couldn't like stop.
Uh-huh.
And like I was pushed to have like a more practical career. So I've been in ed tech or education for over 20 years. I work at this cool company called Code Combat. We make video games that teach kids how to code. But all along the way, I haven't been able to stop drawing or writing. It's the place where I find shelter when I'm going through a hard time,
Mm-hmm.
or it's the place where I can play and create when I'm going through a great time. It's every year on my birthday. I celebrate my birthday by having a craft day.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
yeah, and so my invite friends over, and they all bring their own projects, and we all work on them together. I recently just had a craft afternoon So it's just in the afternoon where people can come over and craft. So it's just it's always been something that I couldn't stop doing.
I
Um,
am going
and
to steal
everyone
that
can
birthday
be me.
idea.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's great. It's an excuse. Life gets busy, and sometimes making crafts and making drawings and art it makes a mess.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know about you, but on the day to day, being a mom, you're just like, oh, it's another mess I need to clean up.
Mm-hmm.
So turning it into a party makes you feel like, all right, I have the freedom to do so. Like we're all going to collectively make a big mess. We're also all going to collectively clean up and enjoy ourselves through the whole process. And that's how I want to celebrate my birthday for sure.
I love that. And I love how the creative life, whether you're writing or drawing or crafting, like it's all interconnected. Like I get just as inspired. I love cross stitching and embroidering, and I get just as inspired making my own little beautiful 6-inch diameter world as I do writing a little story for my daughter or something.
I agree. I mean, to me, it's part of a person's journey is to find the art in which you can express your ideas
Mm-hmm.
and the art in or activity that brings you joy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's for me, that's painting and writing and drawing. But I've seen other friends who treat cooking like an art,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, it's just finding that avenue for you is great. My daughter currently is doing dance,
Mm-hmm.
and so she loves dance and storytelling through that, and going to musical theater, all sorts of stuff.
Uh-huh.
To me, it's just think just like Harold with the purple crayon. Think outside the box
Right.
when you're trying to figure out how to channel your creativity, and when you do, it's such a rewarding thing. It's so rewarding because when I do it, time just stands still. Like I'm so fully present when I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing the thing that I love, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Any other thoughts on Harold before we talk about yearbooks?
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna acknowledge that there's a movie, Harold and the Purple Crayon, coming out soon, and
Oh.
I'm concerned as most fans would be, but I think I'm still gonna go watch it with an open mind because I do like supporting the idea that it's behind, right?
Right.
So I'm just calling it out if people want to go check it out. But yeah, I just wanted to share that it's inspired that much that like it's inspired so many people that it is literally becoming a movie. So yeah.
Yeah, as I was looking up different things about Crockett Johnson and the book in general, I saw that I didn't know it had not come out yet, but that is very interesting. I will consider seeing it as well. Okay, so tell me about yearbooks. You have recently published one, Roar-Choo, that came out this year, last year.
It was this year, yes.
Okay, and then you have another one coming out soon, correct?
Yes. So Roar-Choo is about a dragon that has a cold, and it focuses on this relationship between dragon and phoenix, which is a centuries old folktale
Mm-hmm.
in Chinese history. In fact, way back when, a dragon represented the emperor and the phoenix represented the empress. And so the story is about how dragon and phoenix work together to combat a cold, and it's all about self-care really, and
Mm-hmm.
learning how to slow down when you're not feeling well. And it was inspired by me experiencing COVID with my family,
Oh no.
and I was actually the dragon. I did not know how to slow down, and I wanted to like get better as soon as possible, but my body was not letting me. And my husband was the phoenix, trying to slow me down and trying to tell me to rest more and recover more. So that's that book. And then this fall, it's a story near and dear to my heart. It's called "I Miss You Most."
Mm-hmm.
It is about the loss of my grandfather.
Mm.
And hashtag too soon, but I lost him. We were supposed to fly to Taiwan so that my daughter could meet him for the first time
Mm-hmm.
in March of 2020 when the world shut.
Mm-hmm.
And then the very next year, he passed away.
Oh.
And we were everyone was in quarantine in Taiwan, so we couldn't go to his funeral, and I had to attend it via Zoom. when I was bawling, and
Mm.
a couple of days later, I literally wrote the story just in one sitting.
Oh.
And it's a poem about how much I miss him, but
Mm-hmm.
how I know he's still with me whenever I do the things that he inspired me to practice. He was a teacher, he was a photographer, he loved nature, and all of these pieces where when I do those things, when I'm at the beach, like collecting seashells, or when I am teaching somebody, I know he lives on with me. And so it's just a story of grief, but also a story of hope. And I hope it's a tool to help families have this conversation, right? So, like I said, I'm going to be down in LA in September on Grandparents' Day to read the book to different libraries and kids there too. So that's the one coming up. And then I have two more next year as well.
Oh, fantastic. I'm so sorry about your loss. I know that from the deepest pain and grief sometimes comes the most beautiful stories. And that comes out this year, correct?
Yes, that comes out end of August, and you can always follow me on charlotte.art, my website, and I have a newsletter, so I usually send out a notice when my next book is coming up or any events that I'm attending as well.
Well, fantastic. One last question. What do you hope readers take away from either one of these books from 2024?
So from Roar-Choo, there's a couple messages. So I actually purposely didn't use any pronouns in the
Mm.
story
Mm-hmm.
because when I read it to kids at the very end, I ask them, "What like do you think you're the dragon or the phoenix?"
Mm-hmm.
The phoenix is more a little bit nurturing and trying to take care of dragon, and dragon is just can't stop, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
very stubborn and like very passionate, and the kids they get thrown off, and then I say, I'm actually both,
Mm-hmm.
and acknowledging that you can be both of those characters, and that part of being in relationships is sometimes taking turns. When
Mm-hmm.
your friend is being a dragon, you can be that phoenix, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're being the dragon, they can be your phoenix. And so I dedicate the book actually to my husband Brian, and I say, hey, like my phoenix, my dragon, my adventuring partner, because that's how our relationship works. So that's the whole idea. It's about relationship building, self care, and figuring out how to slow down, especially when you need to recover. And then I Miss You Most is a message I really hope grown-ups take away from it, not just kids, is that
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to talk about death.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to talk about loss. In fact, oftentimes that's the only way through,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's making parents feel more comfortable
Mm-hmm.
sharing that with their kids,
Mm-hmm.
and also providing a safe space for kids to explore loss and to explore a way to still honor the memories of the people that they have lost, right?
Right.
And my daughter, when she read it, it really she had to grapple with it a little, and understanding like, oh, you can lose someone. And she had a lot of questions, but when at the end of the day, she said very bluntly, she's like, Mama, when you die, I will write a story about you so that
Oh.
you can live on. And
Oh.
so, yeah. So it was just, I hope that's what they take away, is
Yeah.
that by processing loss, you become empowered to help your loved one live on
Yeah.
in things that you do, right?
Yeah.
And that when you do that, they're never truly away from you. So I'm tearing up just talking about it, but yeah.
I love that. I think that kids are able to grapple with death in such a real and honest way. We've had just a series of unfortunate deaths, either in our family or our friends in the last few years. So my oldest has, really dealt with people dying a lot more than I think a typical 6-year-old would, and her grasp on talking through it has really helped me in my own grief because it's raw and it's real, and she's unafraid to ask questions, and I think that's a beautiful thing about children. And also, what your daughter said reminded me of there's a Billy Joel song. I can't remember the name of it, but I think it's something about a lullaby. And at the end, it's like he's written the lullaby because that's how he and the person he's written the lullaby for will live on. And I've always bawled listening to that song, even though I'm not necessarily a Billy Joel fan, but because it's just a beautiful song that connects and lives on past the extent of like the human's actual lifespan. So
Yeah, no, and Coco, the Pixar film, I
yeah,
bawl every time
yeah,
because they really anchor that story in this idea that, your loved one lasts as long as someone remembers you.
yeah.
And that or someone like passes down your memory to someone else.
Hmm.
And that was through the power of music too, right?
Hmm.
So I also cried there too because it's like heart wrenching to think of loss, but I don't know. It's like I have happy tears at the end of the film because
Right.
I know that they found a way to pass on that memory. So yeah, it clearly like arts been a really powerful way to process grief. And so I
Absolutely.
just hope my book is just another tool in that toolbox for a family to be able to talk about it and to explore what it means.
Okay, Charlotte, share where people can follow you, buy your books, or anything else that you want to promote.
Sure thing. Again, visit my website, charlotte.art. And also you can find me I'm most active on Instagram. So Charlotte Makes Books at Instagram, or you can find me on X/Twitter at Charlotte Draws. And yeah, message me if you read my book. I love getting messages from readers or any questions that you may have as well.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I have really enjoyed talking to you today, Charlotte. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you have any author suggestions, please feel free to email me at whatallywrites@gmail.com. You can follow the show on Instagram or Twitter at whatallywrites. Allie is ALLY, and don't forget to subscribe.